Hey guys, another video for our modern Japanese architecture playlist. This house is only about 10 to 15 years old. It had always been pretty well maintained, always looked pretty good. It had a sort of a fake pink brick finish to it. And then recently they peeled all that off and they put up some new framing on the outside there and some new sealing, that plastic sheet plastic you can see there to sort of seal it. Put the new framing over the top, and then they're starting to put another lot of new cladding over the top of that. So this is quite a common thing to see in Japan. Real brick and mortar is pretty rare because it's obviously not very good to have brick and mortar when you have lots of earthquakes. So this is really common. This is just a fake sheeting, as you can see. It's a sort of a plastic, sort of a fiberglass, whatever that outside fake bricks made of, and then that's just foam in the middle, insulation foam, and then it's sitting on a sheet of aluminium, and obviously the aluminium just gives it, sort of keeps it straight, and they just cut it up with a saw into little pieces, the shapes that they want, and then they put it all together. So from a distance these buildings often look like they are brick, or they look like they're concrete. Get up close, even up close they'll look like they're real. The only thing that gives them away is the joins between the panels, because they leave a gap to allow a bit of movement with earthquakes and heating and cooling and things like that. So you'll see that line there between the sheets that's just full of silicon. So you can imagine this construction is a combination of aluminium, foam, plastic and silicon. So the result of that is that these outside of these buildings are fairly high maintenance. So it's really common to see them putting up scaffold on the outside of a building that might only be 10 years old, sometimes less. We've seen houses where they've done it after 5 years. They'll put scaffold right around the house, and then they go around and they start replacing the silicon and replacing different bits and pieces around the place. And often on big buildings, these big buildings are the same. From a distance or from even up close, they look like they're concrete or brick or something like that, and then you look closer and you can see it's the same thing. It's the panels with silicon in between. So fairly high maintenance. Sort of it's another disposable thing again. It's another example of disposable things that are in Japan that are disposable that in other countries might be more permanent. And very common, and as we mentioned before, a lot of buildings in Japan are only designed to really last for 20 years. Usually with houses in particular, the banks only value them based on a 20-year lifespan. So they value the house after 20 years. The average house after 20 years is valued at zero, and it's actually considered a liability because they consider that when they value it, that when they value the house and land, that the house, if it's older than 20 years, would have to be demolished. So the cost of demolition is deducted from the cost of the land, and that's the valuation. So there's a massive hotel that's less than 10 years old, that hotel, and as you can see they've covered it with scaffolding, and that material that they always put around scaffolding to protect the neighbours from dust and falling debris. And they're replacing a lot of the sheeting on the outside of that building, basically re-sheeting it with a new skin. And it's less than 10 years old. We watched that building getting built less than 10 years ago. So it's amazing, isn't it? So it's sort of a disposable building skin. Anyway, there it was. More videos coming soon.